Sid, one of the things that maybe was buried in the Real Madrid-Juventus drama was the fact that Gareth Bale came off at the half. What's his future at Real Madrid? At this point, it just seems like he's got to move on.
Well, Zidane said after the game that he just had to do something, he had to change things. He said it was nothing to do with Bale, it was nothing to do with Casemiro, who both went off. But of course it is at least partly something to do with Bale, because when the change comes, there are other options he can make, there are other decisions he can take. And Bale started a game which I think surprised us, quite honestly, and him taking the place of Karim Benzema. But he hasn't played a fundamental role in the key games in the last two rounds of the Champions League. There is a sense now that Zidane, I think, hasn't just given up on Bale as a footballer, but I think has some doubts about his commitment. Their relationship isn't great. That's not to say it's a complete breakdown, but their relationship isn't great. And it was interesting reading the comments of Gareth Bale's agent to ESPN the other day, saying that Gareth loved Real Madrid and Real Madrid love Gareth. But one of the reasons why that is, if you like, the kind of the message that's been sent is that whatever happens in the summer, there will be an attempt to wait, to see the other side's cards first. That I don't think Gareth Bale's camp is going to try and push for a departure. But of course, they're going to be aware of the probable need to look for one. And I think what they're going to wait to see is to see how Real Madrid react to it, to see what Real Madrid suggests to them, and then take it from there. Bear in mind something else that's very, very important in this situation. I mean, we often talk about things like this and say, well, all right, he's got to go. OK, off you go. Yeah, sell. But you've got to find a club who's going to pay for him, a club who's going to pay his wages, a club that Real Madrid will be willing to pay for, and then get an agreement. And that is much, much harder to do than it seems. And sometimes you do get players who, because of their transfer value or their previous transfer value, because of how much they cost, and because of the specific nature of what they do for the potential clubs they go to, they actually don't have the market that you think they would have, because either the clubs that do want them, they wouldn't go to, the clubs they would go to don't want them, or there just isn't an agreement on price. So it's much, much more difficult to resolve than it appears, because on the face of it, this is obvious. Gareth Bale, great player, someone's going to want him. It doesn't work quite like that.
Stevie, Sid makes great points. You hear what Bale's agent says, but still, he's just got to get out of there, right?
100%. And this all comes down to Gareth Bale. You know, if Gareth Bale doesn't want to take a wage cut, then there's probably very little chance that he goes anywhere. Now, if Gareth Bale desperately wants to go and play football, then it's very simple. You drop your wages a little bit.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
You'd have to drop them. The problem is you'd have to drop them a lot because football's so polarized right now.
Right. So I guess
maybe
it ends up being how much is enough. You know, the guy's clearly made an incredible amount of money already. So it now becomes a case of his desire to actually play the game.
We're acting like he's going to go to Leyton Orient. I mean, Manchester United could afford him.
Yeah, they could afford him, but the question is, if you're Gareth Bale, do you want to go to a team that has Lukaku,
where I have a shot to play? Yes.
That has Alexis Sanchez, that's just invested, big wages on him. Where you have Rashford, where he likes to, sometimes Mourinho sometimes likes to be a little bit more conservative, and you already have a reputation as somebody who maybe doesn't work that hard defensively. It's a tough match. I mean, United, I think on paper, one of the few possible destinations. Sid said, not easy.
If Gareth Bale wants to get back to the player and have the influence and be talked in a way that he was when he moved to Real Madrid, he definitely has to move. I'm in complete agreement with the fact that there are very few places that you look in the soccer landscape that would, one, be able to afford him, two, fit the system that he plays. So the Premier League has tons of money nowadays, right? But those teams that actually could pay those wages are going to struggle to fit him in behind or with some of the other guys.